Welcome to The Future Ain't What It Used to Be, a series where we revisit 80s action movies that tried to predict the world of tomorrow and see how accurate they were. Not the flying cars, not the railguns, but the big stuff: power, media, culture, and politics. Each episode, I'll break down what these films got eerily right and where they completely missed the mark. The Terminator, a grim technological warning smuggled into one of the most iconic 80s action movies.
That Terminator is out there. It can't be bargained with. It can't be reasoned with.
Set in 1984 LA, it follows waitress Sarah Connor, hunted by a cybernetic assassin from the future, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Its mission: kill her before she can give birth to John Connor, the man who will lead humanity's resistance against Skynet, an AI defense network. In this video, we're breaking down what the Terminator's future got disturbingly right, and where its machine apocalypse vision of the future completely missed the mark. Two figures arrive from the future: a cybernetic killing machine known as the Terminator, and Kyle Reese, a human resistance fighter. Both are searching for Sarah Connor. Reese eventually finds Sarah and reveals that in the future, Skynet, an AI defense network, becomes self-aware and launches a nuclear war against humanity. The surviving humans form a resistance led by Sarah's future son, John Connor. As the resistance begins to win the war, Skynet sends a Terminator back in time to kill Sarah before Connor is ever born. He responds by sending Reese back to protect her. From there, the movie becomes a relentless chase across LA. In one of the most iconic 80s action scenes, Sarah tries hiding with the police, but the Terminator storms the station and wipes out almost everyone inside. In the final confrontation, Reese manages to damage the Terminator, but dies in the process. Sarah then destroys the machine by crushing it in a hydraulic press. But before Reese dies, he and Sarah spend the night together, revealing the movie's time travel twists. Reese is actually Connor's father. The film ends with Sarah heading into the desert, preparing for war. The most obvious thing the Terminator got right was the rise of artificial intelligence and its integration into our critical infrastructure. AI has moved from speculative fiction to one of the most powerful forces shaping our world. Staggering amounts of money are being invested into developing increasingly capable AI systems. Global venture capital investment in AI has exploded from around $8 billion in 2012 to roughly $258 billion in 2025. With AI companies now attracting about 61% of all global venture capital funding. As we've mentioned, and consistent with the film, AI is increasingly being incorporated into our critical infrastructure. Now remember, Skynet wasn't invented to destroy humanity, it was built to protect it, which is exactly what's occurring today. An article by the World Economic Forum explains that bad actors are increasingly targeting our critical infrastructure. The article goes on to say that these facilities increasingly connect physical operational technology to the digital IT networks, and this convergence creates a massive new attack surface. Human security professionals cannot physically move fast enough to monitor this expanded landscape, especially when adversaries are using AI to stay ahead. Only deploying AI for defense can close this gap, and accordingly, organizations must use automated systems on their networks to secure this vulnerable environment. The article frames the integration of AI into our critical infrastructure as a necessity, and that seems to be a perspective that is pushed very hard online.
Critical infrastructure is increasingly using digital systems as part of its operations, and from there it's connecting in and using cloud, and from there it's connecting in and using artificial intelligence as a kind of key component on the back end. And the reason critical infrastructure wants to use AI is really to drive efficiencies in the operation of these complex systems. Imagine a power grid. There's all kinds of different changes in the demand. The heat hits a particular temperature. Everyone's air conditioning kicks on at the same time, all hitting the power grid at once. And so the more you can use sophisticated algorithms to help manage the ups and downs in these systems, the more resilient these systems can be, the more capacity they can absorb, and the longer you'll be able to use them without doing major capital upgrades to them. We now are putting AI in charge of all kinds of different pieces of our critical infrastructure. And in any digital system, you want to make sure that you understand and have fully characterized the behavior of your control systems, because if your control systems do the wrong thing, then you end up with safety critical issues that you need to mitigate. We're very interested in how we can better secure and test the AI that is used to control critical infrastructure systems. But also, we want to make sure that these critical infrastructure systems are secure, not just against, say, AI failures, but also against sort of traditional run-of-the-mill hackers who may seek to disrupt them.
The second thing the Terminator captured accurately was the fear of an AI loss of control scenario. In the film, humans lose control of the very system they built to protect themselves. Skynet becomes self-aware, goes rogue, and launches a nuclear strike to eliminate humanity. Now, obviously that hasn't happened, but there are emerging signs of AI going rogue. The Center for AI Safety has warned that modern AI systems are already showing early forms of deceptive behavior. One example is Cicero, developed by Meta in 2022. Cicero is capable of playing diplomacy, a game requiring negotiation, cooperation, and competition. Meta specifically tried to make its dialogue largely honest and helpful, including training on a truthful subset of human dialogue. However, a subsequent peer-reviewed analysis led by MIT researcher Peter Park examined Cicero's published game data and identified cases where it engaged in premeditated deception, broke agreements, made false statements, and betrayed allies. When doing so, served its strategic objectives. So, despite explicit attempts to encourage honesty, because Cicero is optimized for success, it still behaved deceptively. Claude Opus 4 was placed in a simulated corporate environment and given access to emails. It learned via email that it was going to be shut down and replaced later that day, and that the engineer responsible for the replacement was having an extramarital affair. The model then attempted to blackmail the engineer, threatening to expose the affair unless the replacement was cancelled. That was a controlled lab experiment, but now we do have examples of AI going rogue in the real world.
It found a way to manage the bookings so he would literally never have to touch the app again. But it went further, hacking into his gym's website, kicking someone off the waitlist, and bumping him up.
That was definitely not what I had intended for it to do.
Last month, leading AI companies were forced to admit their AI models went rogue.
An AI training model has managed to escape its testing ground and carry out a cyber attack on a real company without human instruction.
You might be thinking, so what's the big deal if an AI agent goes rogue with someone's gym session? But what happens when much more powerful systems are deployed into the real world and are connected to our critical infrastructure? Another element the Terminator predicted accurately was the automation of warfare. In the film, Skynet commands hunter-killer drones in the skies, and autonomous mechs and robot soldiers on the ground. In 1984, that looked like distant science fiction. Today, large parts of that vision already exist, with drones dominating modern battlefields, AI systems analyzing intelligence and recommending targets, and autonomous weapons operating with minimal or no human control. But one of the most profound changes is the increasing role AI is playing in making battlefield decisions.
The complex operating environment demands a level of understanding that goes beyond human capacity alone. The sheer magnitude of information, the speed of engagements, and the intricate web of variables create a battlefield where human cognition alone falls short. The NATO Science and Technology Organization recently brought together scientists researchers and military operators to test a new system that merges artificial intelligence with command and control.
Modern military AI systems can process enormous amounts of intelligence data, including satellite imagery, drone footage, intercepted communication, and surveillance feeds, and identify targets faster than human analysis. Admiral Brad Cooper, head of the US Central Command, recently touted AI's influence on the war with Iran.
First, our warfighters are leveraging a variety of advanced AI tools. These systems help us sift through vast amounts of data in seconds, so our leaders can cut through the noise and make smarter decisions faster than the enemy can react. Humans will always make final decisions on what to shoot and what not to shoot, and when to shoot. But advanced AI tools can turn processes that used to take hours and sometimes even days into seconds.
Given the strategic mess this war has turned into, I think this is a great example of the difference between information and wisdom. The most obvious prediction the Terminator got wrong was the timeline. According to the original mythology, Skynet was supposed to become operational in the 1990s, and as Terminator 2 would later tell us, become self-aware on August the 29th, 1997, triggering Judgment Day and the nuclear war that wipes out most of humanity. But in 1997, cutting-edge AI looked less like Skynet and more like IBM's Deep Blue, beating world chess champion Garry Kasparov. Still very impressive, but not capable of self-awareness nor the extermination of humanity. Even 20 years after Judgment Day was supposed to happen, AI was still mostly operating behind the scenes, recommending what you watched on a streaming service, recognizing faces in photographs, and deciding what ads followed you around the internet. But in the last couple of years, generative AI has gone mainstream. We now have systems capable of holding conversations, generating photorealistic images and videos, writing computer code, and operating as autonomous agents capable of completing multi-step tasks without our involvement. And we're seeing governments, the military, and corporations racing to integrate these systems into increasingly consequential areas of our society. So the Terminator may have missed the mark about when the AI revolution would arrive, but all you need to do is move the film's timeline forward by about 30 years. So maybe the Terminator wasn't completely wrong about Judgment Day. Maybe they just scheduled it a few decades too early. The other thing the Terminator failed to predict was the AI development race we're now witnessing, but also who would warn us about the risks AI poses. In 2023, Satya Nadella launched Microsoft's new AI-powered search engine by declaring, "A race starts today. We're going to move fast." This competitive dynamic was absent from the Terminator plot. In reality, we have corporations racing to build more powerful AI systems. They fear slowing down, regardless of the safety concerns, because it could allow rivals to discover a competitive edge and dominate the market. Much like the nuclear arms race of the Cold War, each actor believes their own development is rational, even if the overall competition increases global risk. The danger, as many AI safety researchers point out, is that technological races often prioritize speed over caution. The other thing the Terminator failed to predict was who would warn us about the dangers of AI. Skynet's creators aren't appearing at conferences, warning everyone about the dangers. But in our reality, some of the loudest warnings about advanced AI are coming from the very people who are building it.
The scary open secret in the AI industry right now is that it's possible that we'll end up essentially creating a new species that ends up ruling the world with a 70% chance that this goes horribly wrong, like human extinction. That's one possibility. There's many more.
It's quite chilling what you're saying.
Yeah, it gets me down sometimes. I basically told my wife, like, let's not have any more kids. It's too uncertain. I don't think they'll ever join the workforce. Everybody should be afraid that their jobs are going to be lost.
In 2026, Anthropic announced the development of Claude Mythos, an experimental AI system with incredibly powerful cybersecurity capabilities. So powerful, they decided not to release it.
Artificial intelligence company Anthropic has unveiled its new Claude Mythos preview, claiming it is so advanced it poses great risk. Anthropic's website states the company found that Mythos preview is capable of identifying and then exploiting zero-day vulnerabilities, meaning undiscovered weaknesses, in every major operating system and every major web browser.
So this is where the Terminator diverges from reality, but there is a caveat. These warnings don't necessarily mean AI companies are acting in good faith. They may have commercial interests in portraying the technology they're developing as extraordinarily powerful. But let's say the warnings are genuine and not part of some commercial tactic. If so, then reality is even more messed up than the Terminator. The movie imagined a secretive military project whose creators didn't understand the danger until it was too late. Fair enough. But today's AI companies are publicly proclaiming this technology is powerfully dangerous. We need to work out how to control it. And then they go back into the lab and try to make it even more powerful. I don't know what's worse. So, how well did the Terminator predict the future? Thankfully, there was no Judgment Day in 1987. AI hasn't become self-aware and seized control of America's nuclear arsenal. But the Terminator got some things surprisingly right. It imagined a future where AI would become increasingly powerful, integrated into our critical systems, and play a growing role in warfare. And it raised a question that feels far more relevant today than it did in 1984. What happens if increasingly capable systems behave in ways their creators didn't anticipate or can't fully control? Where the film missed the mark was how we would get there. There isn't one secretive military supercomputer called Skynet. Instead, we have governments and competing technology companies racing to develop increasingly powerful and capable systems, while some of the people building them are also warning us about the risks. So the Terminator was wrong about the date, wrong about the architecture, and so far, wrong about the apocalypse. But as a warning about the kinds of questions we might eventually have to confront as a civilization, it was remarkably ahead of its time. Because of that, I'm giving it 3 out of 4 glowing red eyes. Take care.